Hey family, welcome back again. This is the second part of my caregiver in crisis, well, caregiver at the crossroads. But this is my second installment of that series, which is when the home becomes the hospital. When care enters the homes, the walls get thin, but your boundaries don't have to. Simple as that, real talk. Because in a nursing facility, you have boundaries. Don't get it wrong. You have boundaries, but those boundaries are for for a set of people, sometimes between 8 and 10. But when you're in a relaxed atmosphere, which is someone's home, the care is one-on-one personal, and you do still need boundaries. So we're going to talk about it today. So in today's episode, I wish somebody would have had to told me this when I first stepped into home care. I'm serious. I wish somebody had gave me some of this information, honey, where I would have known and not been so blindsided and trying to walk my way through it. You know what I mean? Because when you walk into someone's home as a caregiver, you're not just entering a space. You stepping into their history. You stepping into their habits, their expectations, and sometimes those expectations are unspoken, unrealistic, and unsafe, which actually comes from the bond that you create with your in-home care patient. Okay? Now you can be cool. You can be cool with somebody, and you can go out of your way to do things for them. Now, truthfully, when you go out of your way to do things for them, let it be the right things. Let it be the things that actually coincide with their health condition. Make sure that you stepping outside the comfort zone for them to do something that's actually will benefit them, will help instead of hinder. Okay? So today we're going to talk about boundaries. Not just the ones we set, but the ones we hold. Because when the house becomes the hospital, the lines get blurry. And if we don't define them, we lose ourselves in the process. We really do. So, to keep that from happening, let's get into some of the things that I'm meaning, okay? First, we're going to start by defining, well, not defining, redefining boundaries, okay? First of all, boundaries are not walls. They're bridges with toll booths. So they say you can come close, but only with care. So, but in caregiving, boundaries protect your energy, your safety, and your dignity. Here are 3 myths that I want to bust out right now. Saying no is selfish. Saying no ain't selfish. Saying no is actually doing the right thing, because sometimes what a patient asks you, like I said, is beyond what they medical care require or beyond what they medical diagnosis require. Now, I don't want to say, girl, just go and do what they ask you to do. No, you can't do that, because what they asking you to do would probably be more of a hindrance than it is a help. Okay? And the second myth I want to bust is good caregivers are always available. Girl, no, we not. No, we not. Sometimes we get tired. We get tired. We get to the point where we don't want to clock in. We get to the point where I don't feel like dealing with Mr. Henderson today. We get to the point where, man, Miss Shirley gonna drive me ballistic today. Yeah, we get to that point. We can't get to that point because we human, first and foremost. Just because that CNA is tacked to our name, that don't mean we got a cape that come out of our uniform. Now, some of us do, and we fly around and we be there and we be the ones that help everybody. We be the ones that do the most. We be the ones that step out of our comfort zone in order to take care of somebody else better. Then not knowing about the end of the shift, we got holes all in our cape. Our cape raggedy, tattered. So how we gonna fix that? The way to fix the cape is to fix ourselves. Now, here is another myth that I want to bust out. People be lying. I mean, they just really do. If you love your client, you'll do anything for them. That is true. That used to be my mantra. I love my clients. I do anything for my clients. Until who was it? Miss Morgan. Yeah, until Miss Morgan showed me different. I mean, you can love them all day, but you better watch them, man. I'm just telling you the truth. Especially the ones with dementia. Just when you think you got them on the schedule, just when you think you got their head straight and right, baby boom, you ain't did nothing. You're gonna have to start all over again the next day. Nope. Nope, 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 nope. Love without limits leads to burnout. And availability without boundaries leads to resentment. And that's true. Now, people, let's get into some real stuff, okay? Real scenario. Scenario number 1. A client's family member starts calling you after hours. What do you do? Now, at first, I'm just going to tell you what I did. At first, I took the call to see what was happening with my client. It was always something that could be done through one of them, so I would talk them through it. And the second time she called was so I could pick up her mom something on the way to work, which 9 times out of 10, while she calling me, she could have went and did it, but I do it. Okay. Now the third time she called me again, right when I was about to have some time with my husband, but she called me to ask me where was her mother's bath soap. No, it's off in the bathroom. Girl, quit playing. So I let her know in a nice, calm voice where the soap was and that I would be available for the rest of the night. I would be unavailable, for the rest of the night. Now, the conversation went cool. The conversation was all right. I go to work the next day because I'm always there before the daughter leaves to go to work. I go to work next day and she act like she got a whole attitude with me because I couldn't talk to her on the phone last night. I mean, not so much as good morning or nothing. You can just feel the tension. You can just see the aggravation on her face. So I asked her, you all right today? Everything okay? Well, and this was her response. Well, I needed you last night, but since you were too busy, I just figured it out myself. And I told her, but I answered your question about the soap. But there was a couple of more things that I had to ask you, Miss Trina. I said, well, you could ask me now. I'm here. I mean, what was it? Something, I mean, it just could have been settled last night. Just forget about it. So I was like, okay, fine. I let it go because in my mind, I'm here to please your mama. I'm here to take care of your mama, not you. Now, if you need that kind of help too, I suggest you quit your job and come on in here and get in the bed beside your mama. Because if you want me to just take care of everybody, yeah, I mean, I actually got that way because of the way she was treating me. But instead of taking it in stride to put myself in her mind where, well, this is the first time her mama ever been like this. This is the first time she ever seen her like this. She must be scared about it. She must be this. She must be that. I'm trying to think of all the reasoning in my mind, that, those reasons that I would feel, like I needed more help than I did. Girl, come to find out she ain't need no help. She just needed a companion in me. She just needed somebody else to talk to besides her mama. She needed somebody else to relate with besides her coworkers. And for me not knowing this right off the top because I don't read mine, I'm not the great Trina Yami. I'm Miss Trina, the caregiver. You know what I mean? So when she actually told me what the problem was, then, I mean, that's no problem with me. I can be a friend to you also. It's nothing. But it's ways to go about it. It really is. Now, scenario 2. You asked to do tasks outside your job description, like cleaning up after guests. Now, don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. What caregiver likes a dirty house? What caregiver can leave a dirty house? I'm not saying that you in there to be a housekeeper or whatever, but if the question is asked and that's something that you would want to do or that you would like to do, by all means do it. But if it's not, the worst thing you can say is, that ain't in my job description. Which is not which is not cool. But when you look at it, you in-home care, kinda yes it is. Only if you make it a chore that's in your job description. But if they made it as a chore in your job description and you doing in-home care, by all means, go ahead. Go and help them folks clean up. It is not going to kill you. Trust me. You'll feel better for it later. Because when you come in the morning, it's not still there. Because who can do a job in a dirty space? You got to clean up before you get to work. You got to make the place safe, or the space safe, before you get to work. You know, get to doing your work. So, I mean, it's either do it tonight or do it tomorrow. Just come in truthfully. Now, scenario number 3 is you're expected to stay late without notice or extra pay. Okay. Now, this used to be my thing. Okay. I used to stay later than what I was, especially when there was no one at home with the client, because we are not allowed to leave a client by themselves in their house. I don't care. You are not allowed to leave a client. So if the person that's coming to relieve you is going to be late, by all means, stay. If the family member that's supposed to come in to relieve you that actually lives there and they not on time, by all means, stay. But if it just keeps happening and keeps happening and keeps happening and keeps happening, now you got to set your boundaries. Now you got to set the rule. You know what I mean? Because not only do that other person has stuff to do, but you as a caregiver have stuff to do too. Like, clock out. Go home. I'm tired. You know, we're allowed to be tired. We are allowed to get tired. So with that being said, just make sure you know who you're dealing with. Make sure you know the situation you're in, and make sure you know your client's medical diagnosis. I mean, those 3 things will keep your in-home care business or your in-home care service flowing smooth, okay? But instead of just going bad, you know, for real, because in each of these scenarios, the boundaries isn't just about saying no. It's about how to say it. Like I said, it's about how to say it. Let me see. Okay, just try this. I'm available during my scheduled hours, and I follow up tomorrow at 9 o'clock. That's for the ones that love to call you after hours, or love to call you right when you make it home. You can say it like that. Or when it comes to the housekeeping part, you can say, instead of saying that ain't in my job description, you can just say, that task falls outside my scope of care. But I can help you find someone who can assist you. I can help you find something, you know what I'm saying? I can find somebody that can help you with that. Because that's just not what I do. You know, you can be nice at saying no. Okay? And here's the one that I love to death. I love to help, but I need advance notice to adjust my schedule. Now that's my thing. That's what I had to learn. Yeah, girl, I help you, but shoot, I got to see what I got to do first, instead of just saying, yeah, here I come. Because that used to be my thing too. Yeah, here I come. Oh, yes, ma'am, I got you. Here I come. Oh, yes, ma'am, I can do that. I got you. You know, that led to a little bit of burnout too. Because once you make yourself available in that way, they're going to expect for you to be available in that way all the time. So if you know you can't do that, don't do it. Don't. Just don't do it. You know, because when it actually comes down to it, when you think about what you can do and what you cannot do, or what you try to bring more care to the table than what they're getting, that's a good thing. But don't spoil them with it. Because let me tell you this, boundaries are not confrontations, they're conversations. Let me get it to you again. Boundaries are not confrontation, they're conversations. And the reason why they have to be conversations is because this way you'll know how to serve your client better, and this way you as the caregiver can piece out your day piece by piece so that it could be so it could flow comfortably. Okay? Now you can build a boundary toolkit. You sure can. You want to build one? Let's build one. Here are 5 tools in every in-home. Here are 5 tools that every in-home caregiver needs. A written care agreement, yes, even for family. A boundary script, phrases that you can practice and use. A check-in ritual, a weekly time to reflect on what's working and what's not. Now, that's the thing that I used to have to do. What worked for this client? What don't work for this client? What worked for this client's family members? What don't work for this client's family members? You know what I mean? I mean, it was just a list that you have to do, that I had to do to actually make my in-home care job flow smoother. A support circle. People who remind you that your limits are valid. When I say a support circle, I mean a soul circle. You need to have people in your circle who are Bible based. Listen, let me get it to you again. People in your soul circle that are Bible based and want to see you succeed in whatever you're doing. I got a soul circle. I got my sister-in-law Vicky. She's a counselor. I have my daughter Jamaica. I have my husband Charles. I have my sister Felina, and I have my Bible. Okay? So, with that being said, my circle is pretty full, and I can go to any one of them to get, comfort or even just validation on what I do, because, it's hard what we do. I'm just telling you the truth. It is really, really hard what we do. Now, I actually spoke with a caregiver that I used to work with, and I had to ask her for this podcast if she could give me, a story of hers, some kind of insight so that I can share with you guys on this podcast, since I don't know how to split screen and do interviews and all that kind of stuff yet. No, I don't, but I'm working on it. So don't be looking at my videos like I'm just not growing, because I am. Anyway, one of my caregiver friends said, I finally told my client's daughter I couldn't answer text after 7 p.m. She was mad, but I slept better that night than I had in weeks. Okay? Sometimes you have to do that. Sometimes you just have to say no. I mean, like, not tonight. I got too much going on. I'm tired myself, so I would love to get some rest. And then she said, I used to feel guilty saying no. Now I say I care too much to burn out. Which is true. Okay? I used to feel guilty saying no to, or not being able to complete a task for a patient. But then I had to step back within my own self and just say, Shunt, you got to take it easy, baby. You got to take it in stride. Because if you get burnt out on this, what else is it for you to do? This is first starting out when I first heard about burnout, my 4 years into nursing. Now, mind you, my 4 years into nursing, I was 20. Well, 19 turning 20. So, yeah, I've been at this a long time, man. But you don't have to feel guilty, or you don't have to feel bad if a client or a family member asks you to perform a task that's so-called not in your job description, that's the reason for having the contract when you first start home business. Now, if you're working for an agency, if you're working through an agency, they have their own. They have their own rules. But this is for the ones that work independently. They work for themselves. Have your contracts drawn up. So that you can have the family member to read and sign and not violate. And that's just the truth. Sometimes we have to do this. But the stories that I just shared with you, it reminds us boundaries aren't barriers, they're bridges to better care. Okay? Yeah. Barriers are not boundaries, they make for better care. Now, let's close with a few affirmations. You can say them with me or you can write them down. It don't matter. But this is what you need if you are in in-home care. Okay? When the house becomes the hospital. Number 1 is I am allowed to protect my peace. Number 2, I can care deeply and still say no. Number 3, my boundaries are a form of love for myself and others. Thank you. Thank y'all for joining me today for this second part segment of the Caregivers Crossroads. In about 10-15 minutes, not next week, I will be diving into caregiving and culture when values collide. So until then, remember, you are not just a caregiver. You're a whole person, and your boundaries are sacred. So just remember, when care enters the home, the walls get thin, but your boundaries don't have to. So with that being said, people, take care of each other. Continue to love each other, help each other. Until next time, which is in about 15 minutes, I'll be back with you. All right, people, take it easy.